Good morning and welcome to Vibe Talk. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today, we're going to talk about happiness. We can spend a lot of time, good morning, Trish. We can spend a lot of time about things that don't necessarily make us happy. But today we're going to find some happiness. Our goal is to get inspired. And today is Transformation Tuesday. If you've been with us, then you know that Transformation Tuesday is all about change. Choices, changes, transforming into something, or someone, I should say. Someone better, doing something better than you did yesterday, learning from. And so our thought today is by Rebecca Helen. Happiness is a choice, not a result. I'm waiting for my co-host to come in. And I know I have a group call. If you will go out, because I did touch a group call, if you will go out, I can put that there. Yeah. Because that should be there. I'm going to have you go out, okay? And then come back in. Okay. Because I forgot to touch that. And that should be there. We are online, ladies and gentlemen. Just 1 second. We have to go back in. This is the second time this has happened, so we apologize. But we are live, so just bear with us while we get back to the podcast. And we are on a live feed. And that's what we did here. Just bear with me. We choose to inspire on Vibe Talk, in case you haven't found us. We are here live on Facebook. And we're going to be back in just 1 second. I want to thank you in advance for joining us. We know it's early. And we thank those of you who come in and tune into us. We're so grateful that you do that. We're so grateful for it. And we have a group call. And And we record everything live we do. Oh. No. Boy, today's gonna be a day. I just pressed the wrong thing again. There we are. There we are. And we are still here, so bear with me if you see a black screen. It's okay, we're here. And look for us on Facebook as you are. You can also hashtag us on Facebook, vibe-talk. Don't forget the vibe and then the dash between it. We are here. And just in case we have technical difficulty, this is the place to find us. Thank you for hanging on, Trish. Trish is my co-host and manager. Thank you. Sometimes you think you have everything ready, and then things happen. So here I am. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We are getting through it. Thank you so much. We encourage one another around here. Yeah. All of our podcasts are we're live. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are so back. And here we are. We make the best of every situation. And we're definitely live. Here we are. I have some people that I want to thank before we get into the norm of ourselves. Don't forget to leave your Vibe Talk page on Facebook open. And the other is open. So, Trish, when you get over there, I will give you the button. We are live hosting. We've been doing that every day. And that way you get to hear our voices. And the spoon is open. We are on Facebook, Instagram. You can even Google Good Morning Hour page, Vibe-Talk. Tropical, good morning. And Hunter, good morning. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Our subject today on this Transformation Tuesday is what makes you happy. Trish, can you do me a favor and open up your page on the podcast so I can have you come in? Please and thank you. We're waiting. We are waiting. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank people. I want to thank Danielle from the UK. Thank you for noticing Vibe Talk and liking it. We appreciate you. Danielle is from the UK. We want to thank Jahim, all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Wrestler, good morning. And thank you for joining. Trish, can you say something on this page? Okay. So I can give you a button. Good morning, Wrestler. Good morning, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome in. And today we're going to talk about happiness. We're going to talk about finding your happiness. There you go. Did I get you in? Try it one more time. One more time, please, and thank you. There you go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, welcome. And right now we're just giving thank yous. Danielle from the UK. Jahim, all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Also, Tori from Las Vegas. Thank you, thank you. That is my nephew. And I want to say thank you to my nephew for tuning in. What are you thankful for and why? We love to ask that question. I am thankful for summer. Summer is fun. When I think about summer, I think about the ice cream. I think about the beach, although I love that all year long. But summer is warmer weather. It's a time to get out, enjoy yourself more than you did yesterday. What about you, Trish? What are you thankful for and why?
I'm thankful for feeling better this morning.
Great.
Because I was going through it for the past 4 days, but I feel a little better.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. It's hard when we're sick. It's hard to do anything when we're just not feeling up to things. And so we are thankful to you, Trish, for making it a point to come in and be a co-host. Because nobody has to be a co-host. We like what you do around here. And it is a choice. That is what we're going to be talking about this day. The thought from Rebecca Helen. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. We are taking this thought from Rebecca Helen and Ralph Marston. Excuse me, I've got the hiccup, and no, I have not been drinking, but I am going to take a drink of juice. What do you think about today's?
It just makes me think, like, wow. I never thought deep into, like, how happiness is, like, how it's birthed and how it's formed. Like, I never actually thought, like, happiness starts with you in that sense. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. Because in our minds, we can set forth however we want to be. However we want to be. But why is it important, though, is what we're going to find out. Why is it important? Because we can choose it, and we want you to know that Vibe Talk is not the fix-all. It's not the fix-all, but what can you do to choose it? How do you choose it? When you embrace happiness, you are taking responsibility. You take responsibility. It is your contentment that belongs to you or not. Your self-belief begins to flourish and your confidence is lifted. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that because I think it's important to choose happiness. And even after listening to this podcast, you can still choose to be happy or not. It's up to you. How many times have you all heard just want to be happy? How many of you have ever heard that or ever said it to yourself?
I have.
You've said that, Trish? And so, what did you do as a result of that?
I did things that make me feel happy. Mm-hmm. Like listening to music or spending time with family. That always makes me happy.
Okay, so we're talking about happiness. To just go out and have fun makes me happy. And being surrounded and pouring my energy into positive people and people who are just as energetic about just being here. Because there was a time when I didn't want to be alive. But now think about happiness and how we can work toward it. We must do something. We all have to do something to make ourselves feel happy. So many times in our world, we depend upon other people to make us happy. And you know what I've discovered along the way? while I was depending on them or that specific person to make me happy, they were not happy within themselves. I found that to be the case. So what does being happy mean? What do you think? Please join me and my co-host. We are live on Facebook. Go ahead, Trish.
I was going to say that I can relate to depending on people to make me happy. Like, it's like giving them a job that they didn't ask for, and it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on them, you know. And then it comes down to this, like, every day has its trials, and one day if they have their trial and they're not happy, then where does that leave you? You can't depend on them. So I had to learn that, like, the hard way. Yeah.
Being happy within yourself. I like that about the giving them a job that they didn't sign up for. Delegating that they must make you happy. And so today we want to ask you, how can you be happy? So, when we think about happiness, is it a feeling of an emotion that passes, or is it a state of mind? We will understand this podcast on this Transformation Tuesday. So we have operative words, choice and choose and happiness. And so if you're still working with your journals, it's not mandatory, but if you have a journal, in the middle of your paper, I want you to put the word happiness. And I want you to connect the word happiness to the word choice. And then I want you to connect the word from choice to choose. The middle of your paper should be happiness. And if you're catching us after the live, please interact. Let us know what you think about this assignment that you're given today, should you choose. You're going to be able to look at your worksheet. You're going to be able to put in your or on your paper things that you can do to make yourself happy. So for now, we're going to use 3 words. And remember, I said to connect them. However you choose to create the connection, you can use arrows, you can use balloons, whatever it is that you like, you can use it. So when we think about the word happiness, the first 3 letters of the word is hap, which means chance or fortune in most languages. But when you think about the fortune of happiness, does that now mean that it's a byproduct of luck? By chance you can be happy? Let's think about that. So now moving up, we want to think about what it relates to. Contentment and satisfaction. Have you ever noticed in life, Trish, where people are completely satisfied with being single, while others are completely satisfied with being with people, and that's all the time? Have you ever noticed anybody like that?
yes.
Yeah? Tell me about that experience.
The single experience, I could resonate with them more than relationships because I wasn't in a relationship till I got like 17, and I was cool with it while everybody else was dating, whatever. And I could see how being happy like by myself was like, I think it allowed me to find myself instead of trying to help somebody find themselves along with me or learning new things about me while I'm with somebody else. So I like when I always think about that, I admire the people that are like, I'm cool with being single. Like, you know, it helps me work on myself. It helps me, like, I'm happy like that. I admire them, and I also admire people that are happy that are in a relationship as well.
And you know, that's good because so many people, and we're talking to the people that always feel like they have to be in a relationship. Let's stop saying about those people that are not in relationships that they say that because they can't find anybody. Because there is someone for everybody. There is that one significant other for everyone. Because that's the way we were created, to be coupled. But now, if we choose to be single, let's not make that a topic. If you're choosing to be single, because maybe that is your happiness. I know of a situation where there is someone in my life that has remained single by choice. And we never say to that person, you're this or you're that. Because we don't know what they've been through to cause their mindset to feel that way. And so let's acknowledge and respect one another. Single people don't have to be lonely people. Were you going to say something? Just chime in.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, single people, I've seen people that are like, oh, where are you going to find somebody? Or, you got a girlfriend? You got a boyfriend somewhere? Like, I just feel like, that's invading. Like, you have to respect them. Like, they're happy where they are. Like, some people don't have that ability to just be happy with themselves. And that doesn't mean that they're lonely. It just means that they're just happy without being in a relationship. They have relationship with family members and friends, and that's all they need.
And then we have those who are in relationships that make the choice when they are unhappy to still remain together. Why, I ask you? For those of you who are in relationships that you find you are not happy, and yet you choose to be together for years upon years without working to make it better. Oh boy. So we're going to get right into this. So guess what I'm trying to say in the long run is that you have a choice to be happy. How do we get there? I like this factor that happiness is a mindset. Happiness is a state, not a trait. Remember that. So what are we to do? Let's think a minute about your inner happiness. What is your mindset like? Your environment and your circumstances. I too hear people constantly say, I'm unhappy. Well, I ask, why are you unhappy? And they start to tell me. More than 50% may be unhappy because of their relationships. They're in relationships as if they feel stuck. I don't know why that is, but I want to tell you who are in relationships and you feel stuck. You are not contented. You are not satisfied. What must you do? Because what can happen is your continued search for happiness puts you in a state of having to find that one person to make you happy. So you have chosen to be in relationships, one bad after the other. To you who have been married not once, twice, 3, 4, and on and on. You're finding your happiness, or are you? Is it your pattern to be able to get rid of that person versus the next person because you can't find your own happiness? So for you that are getting into relationships, one relationship after the other, short-term relationships, I call it short-term. You're not in it for the long haul of things. What makes you happy? What do you think about that, Trish? What I just said.
I can see where you're coming from. I can relate because as I think about myself, I can totally relate. Like, I'm asking myself questions now, like, what was I looking for? Because, like, what was I looking for? Because, like, I wasn't supposed to be dating in high school, but what was I looking for? I wasn't happy with myself. So I guess what I was looking for, what I was looking for was a reason to be happy. And my reason was, if I make this person happy, then I'm happy because I made them happy. And I feel like that's an unhealthy way for me. That was an unhealthy way for me to think. Because in result of that, I always thought when things fell apart, it was my fault. You know, I always thought it was my fault. And now that I realized, I did all that I can do. The problem was I wasn't happy with myself. And that's what caused me to continue an on and off relationship and go into relationships without even thinking. Because I automatically thought it was a pre-flag, it was a preset. It was like, if I go with somebody, then I'll be happy.
Thank you for that. So now, there are people that exist that have happiness, but then their happiness is from pleasure. We're going to find out about that. Now, as we look at our happy state, are we in the moment? as we are in our feelings of happiness versus pleasure, it can be very much like this. We take pleasure in feelings, physical touch, a good meal, and even when someone compliments us. But now, that's the pleasure part of it. Our happiness is more of stability. Excuse me, versus feeling a moment of pleasure.
Bless you.
Thank you so much. And so now, happiness creates stability within ourselves. The pleasure that we derive from life derives from how we respond, such as when you have eaten a good meal, how do you feel? Full, satisfied? But are you full all the time? See, that's pleasure because you enjoyed that good meal. And you will eat again several hours. See, that pleasure you keep, and I want to stick with this because this is so important in relationships to figure it out. In the relationships, it's like that satisfactory food. You enjoy it, and so you know what it feels like to be full, and so you go for that feeling of feeling full. Not necessarily happy, but glad that you had a good meal. Because even depressed people must eat. So they feel full. They feel satisfied. And they're going to keep reaching for that full and satisfactory feeling. Not necessarily happy. But now happiness stays around much longer. Think about this. Have you ever been so stressed out and you go see a good movie? How does it make you feel? The impact of that movie can move you to feel very happy because now you have a memory. You see the movie. And we're talking about a good movie, maybe a comedy, maybe a rom-com that's a comedy romance. And you watch that movie, you will forever remember that moment. What made you happy? What made you sad? And so that's the moment of happiness that we're talking about. Where you are feeling the moments of escape. Our pleasure can contribute to our happiness, just like the movie. Our happiness also can deepen feelings of pleasure. But now we're going to talk about these two because they're so closely connected. Remember, one is pleasure and one is happiness. I think for me, go ahead, Trish. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that, like, I understand what you're, like, I never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I never did. Like, it's like, if my dad, like, buys ice cream, and the ice, if he just bought it and, like, it's just ice cream. But if he buys it, when he buys it now, when I eat it, I'm happy because of the memories that I get when I get ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when we used to eat ice cream at our old house, like in the yard, spending time together, just eating ice cream, spending family quality time. And that's why I love ice cream, and that's why ice cream makes me happy, because of the memories I have with it.
So the impact of that brings about happiness. So now, thank you for that. What creates happiness? That's going to be the question that we're going to talk about. We're going to see today how people create their own happiness. Let's see if people are willing to create their happiness. That's going to be the call of the day, or that's going to be the question, I should say. How do you create happiness? What makes you happy? And let's see if people get right on the nose with that, because so many people are struggling for happiness. So many lives are lost because of happiness. People take their own lives because they're not happy. That is a fact. This is a good time to say that I'm not a doctor. Everything that I talk about here is researched. Doesn't come up out of my head, because I want this podcast to lead you to think about your choice to be happy or not. We're going to be talking to some callers today. I hope that we get calls every day. Trish, can you tell them where they can find us? This is a good place to let people know where they can find us. Speaking of calls.
You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/vibetalk, and we have a direct connect, which is 661-503-8993. And we have a YouTube channel, all caps, Vibe Talk.
Thank you. And that's where you can find us. And we are live on another main source for our podcast. You want to find Vibe Talk? You want to talk to us? Call in. We await your calls. So now, thinking about happiness, what is your ingredients for happiness? Is it family? Is it relationships? Moral values? Your job? Your physical health? Your money? What makes you happy? Some people have a facade, a false sense of happiness. And when they are alone with themselves, they truly can assess it. They find themselves not truly happy. So what makes you happy? Not one caller should call and say they don't know what makes them happy, because something has to make you happy. And if you can't find an ingredient, you must look for it. We want you to choose to be happy. And that question arises, can you choose to be happy? What do you think? Can you choose to be happy? Trish says yes. I say yes. Many psychologists say yes. Many people say yes. We have to work toward improvements. What are the ingredients for happiness? Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Jacob. Welcome in.
Good morning, Jacob?
We are asking the question, what makes you happy? Good morning, Jacob.
Sorry, my music was so loud.
Caller, are you there, caller?
She's just being quiet. I think she's in the bathroom.
Caller? Okay.
Alright, let me turn down the TV a bit.
Okay. So now, as we talk about happiness, we're going to answer calls, and we're going to answer the calls that really want to find out about being happy. What makes you happy? We are live. We are accepting your phone calls for those of you who really want to say something. Okay? Getting back to there. You must choose your ingredients to happiness. What makes you happy? People say sometimes that they don't know what makes them happy because you know what? They're not asked those questions. But I say to you, have you really thought about writing down 5 things that would make you happy? 5 things. Being a spiritual person makes me happy. Knowing that there's a God that exists, a God who cares for me, a God that is a creator that I just cannot comprehend in my brain, that he loved us so much that he creates all these beautiful things, the flowers, the animals, the sunrises, the sunset. That makes me happy. Trish, what about you?
I can relate to you. Like, God makes me happy. Just knowing that, like, he cares and he loves me, and that he provided me to, like, people that surround me with people that will take care of me and things like that. And what really makes me happy is, oh my goodness, okay. What really makes me happy is my bright imagination. Like, my imagination is of like a Disney princess imagination. Like, I love imagining myself and going outside. And when I see the sun and the flowers and me being kind to the animals, like, I imagine myself in a princess vibe. Like, that's just me.
Okay. So we've learned that people have individual happiness. And I want to just put something out there. We don't make this program about opinion. We respect feelings of others. Trish and I work hard to respect everyone's feelings. Maybe you're not like us. Maybe you don't believe in a God. We're not debating that at all. So please don't come to us with that. How you feel is how you feel. The point of that is to add an ingredient in your life. Have you started? Everyone needs ingredients to be able to plan something to eat. If you're going to make something, you need an ingredient. If you're going to pursue happiness, you need an ingredient. Well, maybe that's not your ingredient. Maybe you have something different. We all have different thinking mindsets. But I want you to understand your purpose. Whatever it is that makes you happy. It can look different to every single individual. What is your happiness? What do you do to make yourself happy? Because again, we will ask that question and so many will say, I try to make others happy. If you don't have the first ingredient to your happiness, how do you have it for someone else? That's a question that remains for you to sit and reflect on. So, we need an ingredient. Remember how we talked about, is it your job, your friends, your positivity? What ingredient do you have? I want to present to you some scenarios. The first one is a woman who lives alone, who finds great pleasure in her work, and has a close relationship with her nieces and nephews. Can she be happy? She lives alone. After all, she has her nephews and nieces and finds great pleasure in her work. Is she happy? What do you think, Trish?
Yes.
Yes, and how do we know that?
Because she has great pleasure in her work, and she loves her nieces and nephews, and I have that in me. I love my niece and nephews. I love them to death. So I can resonate with that. So she's happy.
Mm-hmm. And if that's any of you guys, what I picked up on is the close relationship. She can still thrive. Don't say to people, aren't you gonna find somebody? You haven't found anybody yet. They haven't found you yet. Maybe your life is content by thriving from family relationships. We cannot give someone an ingredient to the recipe of their happiness. Here's another one. A widow who enjoys visits from her grandchildren and who volunteers in the community. Is she happy?
Yes.
Why do we think so?
Because my grandma was just like that before she passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was just like that. She got so happy when we came over.
Yeah. Enjoy. Did you catch the key word? Enjoy, finding great pleasure in her work, volunteering, making herself useful. Some people we think that are lonely are the very people that are not lonely. A man who is happily married with 3 children and works at a meagerly paying job. Could he be happy?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because he's happily married. Keyword happily.
Yeah. How many of you all are out there picking up on that? See, maybe he doesn't need the best job. Maybe he needs a simple job that sustains him. A social worker who works 60 hours a week with no overtime pay but takes great pleasure in making sure everyone in her caseload is in good hands. Can she be happy?
Yes.
Why do you think?
Because she takes making sure all her clients are good.
Yeah. See, she wants to do that. And so we want you all to join in this conversation. If you get here and we are no longer live, please join in. Tell us what you think. Tell us what's on your mind and how you can achieve happiness. A single man who lives in a van with limited earthly possessions but has a close connection with his God. What do you think?
I think he's happy.
Yeah. Why do you think he's happy?
Because of the connection that he has with God means more to him, a close connection.
I'm going to... Go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I can relate to not having a lot, like, growing up, but, like, the connection with God, like, it made our family close together and made us happier because you know, we depended on God and things like that. So
absolutely. And this is to all of those who are God knowing. When I say God knowing, that you acknowledge God in your life, because I resonate. Boy, do I resonate. We moved out of a house too quickly. This is a reveal about me. Too quickly. And I am very independent. I had places that I could have stayed. But I didn't want. It was my youngest at the time. He was probably 18. No, maybe 18. Yeah. 17, 18. And so I stayed in my car. Now, I could have made a choice because I moved out of my home too quickly before my other place was ready. Justin, good morning and welcome. So now, the advantage of having that close connection with our Creator, Jehovah God, every morning while we were in that car, I noticed a sunrise. Every morning that was out, I got to see that. And so, instead of being bitter about what I did to myself by moving out too quickly and living in this situation, well, guess what? It did bring me closer. It helped me to know that he was aware of my situation, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is like no other happiness. A single man who earns a high salary and lives with his dog. You ever saw people with their dog?
Yes.
And what do they look like when they're with their animals?
They look so happy. Like, they treat the animals like they're their children. So, yes, they're happy.
Yeah. He's not homeless because he has a high-paying job. He lives with his dog. He also could probably get any woman that he wanted. Is he happy?
Yes.
Yeah. See, people choose their different happinesses. What about this teenager who lives in a foster home and enjoys his classmates and playing soccer? Does he have reason to be unhappy? Yeah.
Yes.
But now he finds enjoyment. What we're trying to get over to you is to enjoy. what you have. Enjoy your circumstances, whatever they are. And when I say enjoyment, if you are in a domestic violence, I don't mean enjoy that and live with it. You can choose your happiness. Just because something is happening in your environment doesn't mean that you have to stay with that. Find enjoyment and happiness for yourself. Go ahead.
And what I got from all the scenarios is that it's like if you have your own secret ingredient to your own recipe, like nobody can tell you how to change your secret ingredient. Like everybody has their own kind of happiness. Like no one can like draw your picture for you, write your happiness for you. Like you have the ability and choice to make your happiness and be happy.
Yes. So we answered yes to these questions. We can experience happiness. You know, Vibe Talk is about feelings, emotions. Now, while being happy, can you still feel mixed emotions of depression and sadness? What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, you can feel all those emotions, and this is what Vibe Talk is about. You can experience mixed emotions, such as bittersweet. You know, it's a bittersweet moment. I remember my first child when he moved out. I was sad, but I was happy because that was a milestone for him. And then you go through the parts of mixed emotions. And I'm speaking to you parents now. If you've ever had this empty nester feeling, you feel sad, but then you adapt to your new life because you know that your child is safely in his home and you are safely in yours and you get to talk still. You understand those bittersweet moments. On one hand, you say, I'm glad they're gone. And then you say, but I miss them. When you don't hear noise, or you don't have to ask, why did you not come in like I asked you to? You get tired of doing that. You miss them, but the love is not lost. Bittersweet. So those are mixed emotions. Or when a child or someone you love gets married. Or becoming a grandparent for the first time. You worry, how will your child take care of your first grandchild? You have mixed emotions because now they are parents. So, we can be happy. When we think about sadness and their endings, we also can think about joy and happiness at the beginning. When we think about sadness and loss, we can think about hope and happiness for new beginnings. Going back to relationships. How many of us have felt sad and lonely when we have left a relationship? Or we've been in a relationship that we already knew this is not a good thing anymore. And so we are in relationships that maybe are not abusive, but are not healthy. Not in our emotional self our well-being or our mental well-being. So we become aware, hey, this is not healthy for me. And we've tried and we've tried and we've tried and we've tried to make it better. Does that make you happy? Because you have to think about your choice to be happy. You have to think about the ingredient. And I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, so many people, divorce rate is very high. We're not suggesting divorce if you are a married couple. We're suggesting that you find out individually how you can be happier, where your happiness lies. Because sometimes two people that are together may not belong together. How do I mean this? You can meet people that even after you've known them for years, that they are total strangers. It happens. If you're in a relationship, you ask yourself why. Why are you not able to recognize that person? Because you never knew the person to begin with. You had a rush to get together, and that's why you guys don't know each other. So surprises come up, and you say, oh, I never knew he or she felt that way. You get together, and you're total strangers. Have you ever wondered in a relationship, because you can always see it, why they're not happy? They put on this facade of being happy, the happy couple. The energy that surrounds them tells you, or tells me, they're not happy at all. They're far from it. And they choose to remain that way. Not ever working, not ever talking out in relationships. How do I know? Because I've been there. But the ingredients should be individually what makes them happy. Because they say, well, find happiness as a couple. Sometimes that's not realistic. Because you have to have happiness within yourself. If you are not happy within yourself, then it isn't a two-way thing. If you're not finding the ingredients to your happiness, whether you're married or not, we're talking about couples now. I like it when people say, and I have a lot of friends like this, he's my best friend. That's the kind of relationship that I want. But I know that in order to have that relationship, that I have to have this ingredient. And that ingredient is, I must become my best friend. If I want him to be my best friend, then I must be my own best friend. Now that's me. So I want you to think about your happiness. People have been together for many years and they're not happy. E is for effort. The effort that you make to stay together in a marriage is very serious. The effort that you make as you're dating, when you see the flags, the red flags coming up, do you acknowledge that? Because it's more than just, as a married couple, you leaving the toilet seat up, or you leaving the toothpaste on the sink. It's much more deeper than that. And so as you think about dating and you think about who you like. What's your ingredients? Because we all have these fantasies of what we like, but we're not willing to do the work. We don't just have unhappiness in the celebrity world. See, we get caught up in that. Who's breaking up? Who's staying together? Why they're always broken up? Why they can't stay in a relationship? You ever thought about that with a celebrity? We live among people who are doing that. And the reason for that is because they're unhappy with something and about something. And it's always the other person's fault. You've never heard anybody come out and say, we broke up because I was unhappy with myself. They say irreconcilable differences. Meaning they blame the other person. That's what's on the copy of those divorces. So they go in and out of relationships. I happen not to want to do that until I can work more on me. I have a sister that's 2 years older than me, and she always says, you're gonna die an old maid. No, I'm not. I'm going to die a happy person. A well-satisfied person, because, see, I've been married before. And I was very young in my 20s when I got married. I got married for pleasure. That's what I got married for. Not for love, for pleasure. Physical pleasure. That's putting it mildly. So when you're young, you don't think about the after effects. But as you grow and you start to be matured, you realize, hey, I just want to be happy. So I've had some time to work on happiness. And so I'm not going to just jump into a relationship and get married because I don't want anybody to say, well, you still aren't married. I've been there. I just don't want to be married 3 times. We have to think about our happiness, and we have to not think about a fantasy happiness. What is long-lasting in our happiness? Trish, how do you feel about what I just said? Or what's your thought, I should say? Sorry about that question.
My thought is, it's very true. Like, we don't, like, with the relationship, like, we don't see on the magazines that, oh, it's because of me that we broke up, or it's because, like, I wasn't happy with myself because we broke up. And that's something I can resonate with. I always be like, I always was like, he never did this, and he was like, she never did this. But, like, when it comes down to self-reflection, the reason was because I wasn't happy with me, I guess. But I wasn't happy with me because, I'm sorry. I wasn't happy with me, and that's why I allowed myself to stay in that relationship, because I felt either way, I'll still be happy in the relationship if he's still there. But then I realized either whether I was in a relationship or not, I still wasn't happy because I wasn't happy with myself. So it wasn't a difference. And then I had to make the choice, be like, do I really want to be happy with myself? Or do I really want to come to that realization? Because I know I know what's the problem, but like, do I really want to solve the problem? So it took a lot of me to say a year ago that we can't be together because I'm not happy with me. I'm focused on you and making sure that you're straight and you're good. And when it comes to me, I'm just like, I'm just not focusing on me. I'm ignoring myself. Like, I'm not my best friend.
Right.
So, and like you said about the best friend scenario, like the best friend scenario that like you want to be like, you want that person to like be your best friend. I admire that about couples too. When they're like, oh, he's my best friend, she's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I admire that. And I always wanted the best friend. And when I realized that the kind of best friend that I had, well, the way they treated me is how they treated myself. Like, I would get mad when they ignored me. But I ignore myself. So why am I not mad at me? So
makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I had to come to that realization too.
Thank you for that. So are you searching for happiness? So many people are. And that's why we have Vibe Talk, because we get so many people who say they don't feel happiness. We learned that you can have mixed emotions. You can be feeling depressed and think about happy things in the past and in the present. But now, on your search to happiness, we do not need to have. Good morning, Seagull. Good morning, good morning. What state are you listening in from? And what else do you want to ask, Trish?
And what are you thankful for? And why?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about finding happiness. So, you do not need to be having everything in order to get happiness. Your recipe is finding joy. Find joy in the things that you already have. How many of you have found joy in the things that you already have? I have. I'm content in the things that I have. I'm content to know that I can have a choice. I can choose to be happy. If we want to be happy, notice this. It has been said, and I quote, happy people are generally healthier. People that are happier have strong support and a network of family and friends from a network. Happy people enjoy giving their time, money, or skill to someone in need. Happy people are content being alone. I'm quoting this. Happy people often influence others to seek happiness. Happy people engage in deep, meaningful conversations. Happy people smile and laugh more. Happy people find the beauty in the little things. How many of us have ever saw a happy baby?
I have.
The baby smiles and you smile, you have created an environment of happiness. You make that baby smile, the baby makes you smile. That's how life should be. We talk about doing the assignment of smiling at someone and watch them smile back at you. It's very rare if you are smiling at someone and they don't smile back. A smile has power. Smiles, so happier people tend to do that. Now, they also notice beautiful things. We have to be like that young baby, that life should be that simple. We understand as we grow up, we're faced with things, our environments of unhappiness, we have to create our surroundings. That happiness leads to better lives. Happy people are more productive. When you're happy, you're productive, you're creative. Happy people have an easier time navigating through stressful scenarios. See, these happy people are making choices. It doesn't say that they've never been through anything. I learned something from phone calls that we get. I learned something from you all when we do our one-on-ones. You've came through a mountain of things. You're maybe still going through a mountain of things. But somehow, some way, you have faced the lions and you create happiness. You've learned in Vibe Talk how to create happiness for yourself. The happiest people treasure people over possessions. It says, and I quote, happy people are less likely to engage in jealousy or gossip. They exercise self-care. Less likely to hold on to grudges. Have you ever been happy for the happy person? Good morning, Ty. Good morning, good morning. We're talking about ways to be happy. Good morning,
Ty.
And the question we want to ask you, Ty, what makes you happy? Happy people are happy for other people. Happy people take the simplest moments in life and learn from it. So we want to bring this to you. By the way, this was from an article on psychology. We had Mental Awareness Month all month. You're not sure what makes you happy. Okay. So many people will say that. They're not sure. Be important enough, value yourself enough to find your happiness. So, when we think about happiness, you've just gotten recipes to happiness. We thank you guys for joining us. And we want you guys to understand that it is a choice. Some of us are living in what we call a suffering state. Let me pull up a little bit closer to you. Some of us are choosing to live in a suffering state. State of mind, state of presence, state of environment. We're choosing. Now, if that's your choice, I ask you today, what do you want to do about it? See, we have to tell our mind, our mindset, to find creativity. And we do this by being present. We have to tell ourselves to be grateful, thankful. And we remind you every morning by saying, what are you thankful for? Ty, I ask you, what are you thankful for today? Let's start there so we can help you. What are you thankful for today? See, each day is a day for us to think about our own world, our own suffering. So I want you to think about 97 seconds. 90 seconds to suffer. 90 seconds. And I'm going to ask you this question in these 90 seconds. What makes you unhappy? You only have 90 seconds. Handsome, good morning and welcome in. Tricia, when I ask the question to Handsome, good morning.
Hi, Handsome Jason. What are you thankful for and why? And what state are you listening in from? And our question for today is, what makes you happy?
And Ty says, I'm grateful for being alive because it always gives me a chance for growth. So I want you to think about the first question about what you're thankful for. You're happy to be alive. Or you're thankful to be alive. Ty, are you happy to be alive? Yes, you're thankful to be alive. Are you happy to be alive? Let's start there. Not sure if you're happy to be alive. Well, when you wake up each day, think about your life and your choice. You have a choice. How old are you, Ty? Can I ask, how old are you? He said, because emotions be all over the place. I get it. We just talked about that, didn't we, Trish? Mixed emotions. Mixed emotions. So, what is it that causes you? Name one thing that causes you to have your emotions all over the place, because that's normal. We all have felt like that, and we want you to know that all of us have felt like that. What is the one thing, if you want to, or you can even text that, and we don't even have to talk about it over the air. The number is 661-503-8993. Because that's what we want to help you to find a key to yourself and why. What are you emotional about? Because there's something that's causing that. So we don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. You can go ahead and text that or talk about it. You can text that number. Or you can talk about it here. Or make an appointment and we can do a one-on-one. So you want to be... So your material resources, what's that like for you? Thank you for sharing that, Ty. What's that like for you? Do you have a lack of or too much of? Because that can go both ways. Do you have a lack of or too much of? lack of. So now, let's put it on the table. Let's say you got a deck of cards and you're going to name what you don't have. What is it that you need that you don't have? And thank you for sharing that with us. Ty says, I think it's because of my desire, like with material resources, being materialistic. And now we're getting somewhere with you, Ty, because you said you have a lack of material resources. What is it that you have or don't have and you need it? And you need it. Let's see if we can provide you some happiness today. What is it that you want as far as material resources, if you care to share? So now we're talking about 90 seconds of thinking about the things you've suffered. We're only allowing you 90 seconds. And Ty, we're still here with you. If you want to talk about it, there's no forcing. So, maybe your challenges are not life or death, but they're genuine. And that's what we take into consideration as we do Vibe Talk every day. So Ty says, I would say I'm dissatisfied with the money I have earned with me working multiple unsuccessful jobs. Okay, so not enough money. So we put that in the pile and we say, okay, well, I don't make enough money. You work 2 jobs, you said? Have you considered looking for other jobs, maybe not quitting what you have, but perhaps you can look for another job that pays better? I had this conversation with one of my sons, and my oldest. Instead of having 2 jobs, get one that pays the best. Have you thought about that? Because I'm going to tell you, every place is hiring right now. Every place is hiring right now. I don't know what you live. Where do you live? Are you in Virginia, or what's your state again, Ty? Trisha, did you want to say something? So,
I was going to say he's in Virginia, but he answered.
Okay. So Virginia, are they hiring in Virginia? Because, you have a choice to change your job, or you have a choice to stay with that job until you find something better. This is Transformation Tuesday. So I want you to get some thinking about that and reflect on that. I know here in California, and I know different states are different, they're hiring everywhere, because when the pandemic came, it was a shutdown. Now people are looking for work. I'm 54, and I can go get hired at any job. Okay. No, you don't have to write that. Just say you'll be right back. That's fine. So I want you to think about that, okay? Just kind of think about that, and knowing that you have some choices. Don't necessarily quit the ones you have, because life is already hard enough. but maybe in the meantime look for something that pays better. You have options. You don't have to suffer. Ty says, I've been thinking about going back to school because I want a career like entrepreneur. Okay. Well, here's what I'd like you to think about. Entrepreneurs still have to make a living. So while you are thinking about being an entrepreneur, maybe you can go to school and take a trade. And then as you're thinking about going to school, think about what you'd like to take a trade in. You have choices, and I want you to think about that. So moving on, I hope that helps. Moving on. Choosing happiness can be done. We have to think about our mindset, what we want to do. We understand the internal struggle of trying to find happiness. And we want to set about helping you to understand your internal struggle and how you feel versus how you want to feel, how you ought to feel, knowing the difference. When you think about your life's choices, whether it be happiness, and today is Transformation Tuesday, we're talking about life choices with that particular subject and emotion of happiness, you have the most powerful tool, and that is your full self. Looking at yourself and choosing that for yourself. Think about that. Choosing happiness for yourself. Ways to be happy. Because we realize that those are real feelings. As they're real feelings, we want you to understand happiness. Your contentment of yourself. And so when you think about your happiness, how do you choose it? One of the things that we have to do is determine how we control our actions. Maybe you don't feel happy, but we don't want you to dwell on not being happy. So we want you to think about your being happy. Your being happy. Trisha, is there anything that you'd like to say?
Yes. I wish I got that point when I was younger. That I wish I didn't dwell on the unhappiness. Like, I wish I didn't dwell on the things people said about me, what the bully said about me. I wish I didn't dwell on that. I wish I just thought of, you know what? No matter what they say, I know that I love to learn. Mm-hmm. I love coming to school every day and learning something new and being a part of, like, chorus and things like that. I wish I didn't dwell on the negative so much. And now, I feel better. because I'm not going to say I don't have that mistake anymore, but I'm leading toward revisiting dwelling on negative things.
So, thank you for that. We want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that you have to put forth the effort to find that happiness. We talked about it. We related it to an ingredient. We have to think about our choices. Maybe you haven't always led a happy life. Maybe you're not living in a happy situation, but you can create happiness for yourselves. Happiness. It requires effort. It does require effort. And you must realize you have to choose it every day on purpose. Are you asking, is happiness important? Is that what you're asking, Ty? Or are you saying it? Is happiness important? What do you think? Ty, let's hear from you. What do you think? Do you think happiness is important? Would you rather have 90 days of happiness or 90 years of unhappiness? Which one would you rather have? You say yes, it's important. No worries. That's a good question. Would you rather have 90 days of unhappiness or 90 years of unhappiness? That will help you to understand. Trish, what do you think about that? 90 days or 90 years?
I'll take those 90 days.
90 days of unhappiness, because that's the key to seeing if you want to change it. So, your question, Ty, yes, it is an emotion. And yes, it will matter. But if your mindset says it doesn't matter, then that will be your 90 years of suffering until you change that. Go ahead, Trish.
Yes, because my thought is like, my happiness is important because it teaches me to like value the things that I have now, to cherish the things that I have now. And as you said, happiness changes because us as people change, you know. What satisfies changes over time. So I feel like happiness is important because I can value what satisfies me now, and when it changes, I can learn to value that during that time as well.
Yes. Thank you for that. Happiness is an emotion. It has a very powerful influence on the choices we make. It has a very positive influence on our brain waves, the way we process our thoughts and our actions. It will influence the choices that we're making. It will influence the choices that you and I make. So is happiness important to you? No one can answer that but you. No one can answer that but you. Go ahead, Trish.
Like, happiness isn't an emotion, but it has a lot of emotions in that emotion. Like, love can be happiness. Joy can be happiness.
What did you say?
Like,
happiness isn't an emotion?
No, I said happiness is an emotion.
Oh, yes.
But it has a lot of emotions in that emotion.
Yes, that's
like,
what. Yes.
Yes. Like joy, love, has a lot in there to create happiness.
Yes, that's why as you write that word and connect it, your state of well-being, contentment, pleasure, satisfying experience is all connected to happiness. It's all connected. How you respond to it is totally up to you. If your mind tells you that you aren't happy, then your thought processing, everything you do from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, if your mind tells you you're not happy, you're not going to be happy. You must remember that. And I want to relay this experience. A person was told by the doctors that he would not walk. Wouldn't be able to walk because of an injury to his spine. Well, now, as the person lay in bed and thought about what the doctor just told him, the mind said, I will walk again. Notice, the mind said that. Now, it was what he was going to do after the mindset said that. I will walk again. I am not going to suffer like this. Now, this is a medical doctor who has handed this down. With every means possible, he began to move into action the thought that he will walk again. With much determination, rehabilitation, the relearning, guess what? You finish the story. Trish, what do you think happened?
He learned to walk again.
He taught himself through use of rehabilitation, much effort. This was not an overnight thing. Because the mind said, I will walk again. Even though he may have use of crutches, he is using the crutches. He's using the means to walk again. He's taught himself to walk again. The mind is powerful. Choice. Go ahead.
That reminds me of when I got COVID. I was so devastated. Like, when I found out I was positive, like, it just hurt my feelings. Like, I had a breakdown. I was like, I have COVID. I'm already sick. There's nothing I can do. And then when I started to think, like, in my head, like, you know what? I'm going to fight this thing. I want to get better. And that's when I started to get better. Like, I wanted to fight it. I wanted to get better. I wanted to do well. So that's what, like, motivated me. And that's what boosted my health, because I encouraged myself.
Well, let me tell you another story. There was a famous football player that, I can't think of his name, But here's the situation. He killed his girlfriend and she was pregnant. Oh, why does that name escape me? But I've read the whole life story of the child. He shot his girlfriend because she was not going to have an abortion. That child was born, and he was born with different things wrong with him. The grandmother has raised him. He has now graduated high school. I see his face, but I can't put the name. I will have it for you by the end of this podcast. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, good morning. What are you thankful for and why? We're talking about...
Good morning, Debbie.
We're talking about being happy. And so this famous football player has been in jail. He's since been released. And his child has done all these things because the grandmother has raised that baby to believe that he can do it. Think about how he feels. He was shot in his mother's womb. But yet, he's living a purposeful life. So I ask you today, would you rather have 90 seconds of suffering or 90 years of suffering? It's your choice. Happiness is a choice. You know, we have lots to be thankful for. We ask you every morning, and I'm asking the question to you, Debbie, what are you thankful for? If you weren't happy yesterday, how can you be happy today? Positive moods affects our mindset. Help us to make better choices. How many of us have set a goal to be happy? Debbie says, I'm thankful for staying strong through the most dark and stressful, abusive time of my life. And that can be a goal. Write that down. Your goal to stay strong. Period. When you tell your mind to be happy, it is much more than just that. You have to put it in work. Work. You have to make goals. Goals. How many of you are working on being more happy in your life without adding, I'm not happy because this, that, or the other, but I am working on being happy. Period. Because you're really not happy if you've got to add this or that is negative. You're going back to the mixed emotions that we talked about. You're starting to mix your happiness with, I don't know if I can be happy. I'm not sure if I can be happy because this happened. Now, I told you two scenarios. One was a scenario of a young man that had been told that he was never going to walk again because of a spinal injury. The other was one of whom, before he was even born into the world, was shot. His mother was shot in the stomach. He lived. What was the outcome of them, Trish?
The man with the spinal injury, he taught himself to walk again, and the boy, he graduated, and he grew successful.
Yeah. Graduated. So when you tell yourself you're not going to do something that's simple and plain, you're not going to do it. Every day doesn't have to be a dark day. You haven't been shot. You've lived. See, the story that I like about the young man that the doctor told him his walking days were over, his mindset was nope, nope. Imagine, we take for granted. Look at your legs. How many of you in this room have legs? Trish, do you have legs?
Yes.
Debbie, do you have legs? Tyler, do you have legs? And anybody else coming in here, you're in control of the legs that you stand on. I ask you today, stand up. Wherever you are, stand up. Some of us haven't gotten that far because we choose 90 days of suffering. We go beyond the limits of 90 seconds. Remember, I allowed you 90 seconds to suffer. You're going beyond that. And there's nothing I can do about it. But I say to you, stand on your legs, because standing on your legs means something. You're standing in your power. The man who was paralyzed was told he was not going to be able to walk or to stand on his own. But he chose not to suffer for the rest of his life, which is representative of a representation of the 90 years of suffering. He chose not to allow that to be his lot in life just because some medical doctor said you will not walk again. You want to hear something else? My mother was told that she had 7 other children and to give me away because of my birth challenges. What did my mother choose to do? I am living proof. She made a choice. And because of that choice, I choose to live despite what that doctor told her. And I'm telling you today, ladies and gentlemen, you can choose your happiness. If you've been in the bed, if you say, I'm depressed, I've had this horrible thing happen to me, change it today. Don't come back with the same story. Change it today. I say to you, whatever is ailing you, stand up, stand tall. Find your ingredients to become happy. If you weren't happy yesterday, choose it today. The young man that was shot, or the father shot his mother, grew up to be a very successful young man. I will have the name for you tomorrow. He's a football player. And Trish, if you could look that up for me, a football player, famous football player that shot his girlfriend in the stomach. His name is Ray something. If we could have that name before we go off. Read that story, you will be inspired. See, we are trying to help you guys to be motivated. We understand that you are coming from so much, but what are you going to do about it? Your legs are not robotic. Pinocchio wished to be a real boy. Are you wishing to be a real person? Living your life to the fullest? Pinocchio in Disney World had to prove himself. What are you doing to prove yourself? You say, I want to be happy. I like what you say. I love what you say, Miss Niecy. But what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to come in every day and just listen because you like the sound of it? Or are you going to make a choice? Today's that day. I say to you, stand up, stand tall. I want to thank everyone who's been in this room. I want to thank my co-host, Trish. Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you who have been here. Thank you. Thank you for being a regular. You're welcome. Debbie says thank you. Trish, did you want to say anything?
Oh, I was saying that his name is Ray Karras.
Ray what?
Ray Karras.
How do you spell that last name?
Carruth.
U-T-H. Ray Carruth. Thank you. Thank you. I could not read that whole story. Something so tragic became something so positive. I'm so thankful for that grandmother who said that grandbaby would have a full quality life because he survived that tragedy. Imagine that. A baby being born. Ray Carruth, look up his son. You will be totally inspired. She didn't hand him a death sentence. She didn't say just because this happened with your parents, you're not going to be able to do. She pushed him. The man that was laying in the hospital bed with much rehabilitation has learned to walk. It doesn't matter how fast, how slow, he taught himself to walk. It was his mindset. You think they're happy? You bet you. What can we learn from this? Being happy. Trish, what is your closing question for us today?
The question is, what have you learned about yourself or discovered about yourself today? And what was your experience like here today?
Okay, for those of you who are listening, and we're all going to Facebook. You're going to Facebook, and the address is facebook.com. If you've got a Facebook, just type in vibe-talk. Please join us over there now. We want to thank all of you for being here today on this Transformation Tuesday. My question to you is, what are you going to do if you choose happiness? The football player's name is Ray Carruth. Thank you so much. Could not do this as best as we do without a co-host. So your work, Trish, we appreciate. Trish, what states were in here today?
The states that were in here today were Maine, Virginia, South Carolina, and Palmdale, California.
Okay. So that's what we had in here today. If you don't believe that people are listening to these podcasts, just as soon as it goes up, go check out the numbers on Facebook. People are clicking. Choose your happiness. Why? because today is Transformation Tuesday. We're on Facebook. Please go and follow. I see you, Trish. Could I have you, Debbie, go to Facebook, please? And you, Ty, go to Facebook, please, and thank you. And the reason why we're asking you to get there, because you will know how to find us. You will click your notification button every time we come on. That is, if you really want to be motivated. We ask that you share what you're learning. Do yourself that favor. We're asking to find your ingredients to learning. If any of you have missed this podcast in its entirety, it will be on our Facebook page at Vibe-Talk. And there you can put in the answers. Thank you so much, Ty. Are you guys all over on Facebook? I see you, Trish. Thank you so much. Debbie, are you there? Trish says, what I learned today is happiness is possible, and I have a choice to make my happiness possible. I learned that happiness is a mindset. You can choose it just like you choose anything else. There I see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much, Debbie. So we want you to move ahead, stand up, stand tall. We want you to have 90 years of happiness by choice. And I think I'm going to use that more, the 90 seconds of suffering. I'm going to give you all 90 seconds to tell me why you're suffering. You'll only get 90 seconds. Because that 90 seconds can turn into 90 years of you suffering and saying the same thing. What do you want to do about it? We hope that Vibe Talk has allowed you to be more aware. Even though May was mental health awareness, every day is mental health. Your mental health, your emotional well-being. Every day we consider that. We thank you for joining us. We thank all the states that have been here. We ask that you be more cognizant of yourselves and helping to be your happy self. If you're not happy, find happiness. If you've already been happy, be more happier than you were yesterday. And if you're happier, find your happiest state. Because you have it. It's in your power. Thank you for joining, and have a great day. We will see you all back here tomorrow on Wednesday Wellness. Look at how we're getting through the week. Before you go, we always play the outro, because I've been missing doing that, playing the outro. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I wish you more happiness. Love you too. Thank you for joining. Have a good day, everyone.